Okay, gentlemen, it just came to light, or at least to my light, that Train to Busan is set to get a remake by New Line Cinema coming soon to a theater near you. So it got me wondering, is there a better remake, a U.S. remake, that is better than its international counterpart? And not just horror, I'm talking about anything.
I can only think of one thing that might be competitive, and that is the U.S. Office remake of the English Office or the UK Office.
Oh, okay. All right. It's hard to compare. Those are such different beasts, but in terms of success and sheer impact, yeah, definitely.
When the U.S. Office was airing, you had those people at work would be like, "Oh my God, you watch the U.S. Office? You're such a loser. The U.K. one's so much better." You know, I'm sure we all had those people in our lives.
Yeah.
I mean, there's such different takes on it. Man, that the U.S. Office is hard to argue with.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good choice. I've seen a fair amount of the UK one. I like that Dwight, and I do like. What's his name is Michael Scott. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, David Brent.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's the counterpart, David Brent.
Yeah.
That was only run for like 2 seasons too, right?
2 seasons and 1 Christmas special, which is what he tends to do, what Ricky Gervais tends to do with most of his series. He does 2 to 3 seasons, and then he'll do like 1 follow-up special for a lot of things when he's not doing a movie. But yeah, ways to keep it simple.
Yeah, that makes sense. The U.S. Office ran for what, 8 or 9 years?
9 seasons.
Very long time. Yeah, probably too long.
See, I'm going to disagree with that because I hate to be this guy, but like it actually, the 9th season got really good again. I know a lot of people kind of like point out certain characters, but I thought the season, like the series, like really evolved into its own thing at the end.
Okay.
I got tired of the whole Pam and Jim wedding stuff. I was like, all right, I'm falling off this train right now.
See, I'm thinking of Stanley's Starmageddon. I'm thinking of Florida Stanley. I'm thinking of fucking overly crazy sexual Phyllis. Oh, man. The shit they did with Meredith and Creed alone. Anyway, I could go on. We should have started an Office podcast. I know we should. We like knee deep in like 50 others, but.
What a show.
Yeah. Welcome to your lunch break with the GraveTalk as we talk The Office. Okay, Garrett.
I don't know if it's a hot take. I don't know if it's super controversial, but I'm going to 100% agree with this. The Americanized Ring, The Ring, was so much better than the Japanese one, hands down.
I really like that movie. Now, I'm going to open myself up to vulnerabilities here. I don't think I've actually sat down to watch Ringu. It's been one of those in my iTunes library for years because I bought it on the Arrow sale for $3, but I just haven't got around to doing that. Ringu or Ringu 2 or Spiral, any of those that are all attached to that. So I'll take your word for it. John, have you seen the Japanese one?
I'm trying to remember, and I don't think so either. I think I've only seen the American Ring.
I mean, it's good. Ringu's good. It definitely encompasses the same feel, but it probably was budgetary also, but just the sheer presentation of the American Ring was just so much better and creepy, and it had like these moments that just really escalated to, in my opinion, like just really great moments of like utter fear. The other one had like these moments like, oh shit, I'm supposed to be scared. Ringu had that, but the American Ring was like, man, I was really terrified at certain points. So I don't know. That's my choice.
Right on. I'm going to go out on a limb here. Again, a movie that I haven't seen, but just based on my disdain for the American version, I'm going to say Grudge. I'm going to say the Japanese Grudge is probably better because I don't really care for the American one.
I'm a Grudge fan. I've never seen the Japanese one, but I like the American Grudge. I know it gets a lot of flack.
Mostly from me, I think.
I like that movie.
The story is a little more pointlessly convoluted in the American one. There's a lot more dumb decision making, and I don't really think What's-Her-Face is that great of an actress. She's not bad, but she just didn't really do it for me in that movie at all, so...
Yeah, I agree. Well, doing a little research on this subject, I found some fun ones that I didn't realize were remakes. These aren't horror related at all, but did you know that The Departed was a Hong Kong movie originally called Internal Affairs from 2002?
Huh.
Was Internal Affairs like remade from the Hong Kong Eternal Affairs?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. I don't know how to read. Infernal Affairs. How about that?
Okay.
True Lies was originally La Totolier or La Toto. I can't do a French accent with the word totale or totale. That's from 1991.
Really? True Lies?
Yeah. I'm going to assume that the American one's better just because it's got Arnold Schwarzenegger jumping off of a Harrier jet, right? That right there makes it better, in my opinion.
That's such an American response to like this kind of question. It's like, America did it better because it's got Schwarzenegger, baby.
Yeah.
My freedoms, USA.
Yeah. It's got a jet, man. Oh, stupid American. You don't get it. The fineness of the French movie. Oh.
I don't know if that's offensive, but let me chime in. Instead of jumping off a jet, he jumps off a bicycle onto another bicycle.
We're sorry, France. We don't mean it. How about Three Men and a Baby? Did you know that was originally a French film called Trois Hommes et un Coffin?
What?
Who fucking cares?
3 Men and a Baby?
Surely the American one's better. American arrogance is winning right now, France.
It's definitely not, and don't call me Shirley. Boom.
Nice.
Come on, man. I had to throw it in there.
That was perfect. Okay, here's controversial ones. Let's talk a little bit more horror related. Let the Right One In or Let Me In?
Oh, damn. Let the Right One In. Definitely better than Let Me In.
I've only ever seen Let the Right One In. And that was really good, so.
Both are done really well.
Yeah, I think I prefer the Swedish one myself. I just think they're so similar, and I watched them back to back one afternoon. Probably a bad idea. But I did watch the Swedish one first, and I was like, I'm going to watch the American one. I ain't got to work till later, and just hit play. And I was like, this is literally the same movie. And then I thought to myself, I don't know what I expected. They're just a remake of the first one. So yeah, of course they're the same movie, dummy. I just don't got to read in the second one.
I feel like that's what's going to happen to this Train to Busan remake, because there's no trains in America. So they're going to have to put it somewhere else. So at this point, they're just making the movie so that they can put it in English for people who don't want to read subtitles.
Well, there's trains, dude. There's lots of places that have like train infrastructure. The Northeast has a lot of train infrastructure. You can go from like New York to Philadelphia. I mean, you can go like all sorts of places on trains. We just don't have them down in Texas because Texas is garbage when it comes to trains.
I've been on like the Metro North in New York. Like, it's just, they're not good trains. They're not horror movie trains. I mean, maybe like you could put it on an Amtrak, but name one American movie that takes place on an Amtrak train. Like, I just don't see it.
The Taking of Pelham 351, also a remake, the John Travolta movie.
Yeah, Taking of Pelham 123. That's a subway, though.
That's what they're gonna do, dude. You know, the remake's probably just gonna be on a subway, right? They could be in Chicago, it could be in the Red Line or something, you know.
John, do you think it'll actually take place in New York on a subway from like kind of like the Warriors? They've got to get from one place to the other, to Coney Island or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's like the nearest I could see, but there's so many scenes, like there's no bathrooms on a subway, right? There's no like luggage racks. There's no, I don't know. I mean, they'd have to take a lot of creative liberties, which might be good though. Like, cause I also am not a fan of remakes that don't add anything. It's like, all right, I'll just watch the original. So I guess if they're just taking the concept, they're going to try to put it in a subway like we just made up, and you know what? You heard it here first. That might be interesting.
I have absolutely no interest in this remake, to be honest. And it reminds me of another one that I had absolutely no interest in a few years ago. Do you remember when they redid Old Boy? Spike Lee directed Old Boy starring Josh Brolin.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it came out in 2013. And I remember when they announced that, it's one of those movies, like I love the original so much that I can't imagine them capturing how well the first one was. You know what I mean? The intrigue, the mystery of him being locked in that hotel room for like, what was it, like 2 years or something like that, and without any interaction with people, and then he comes out and he's got to solve this crime mystery. Like, I don't know. In to what I heard it didn't hold up to the original, but I never saw it.
Did you say crime mystery?
Is that redundant?
Yes, the crime mystery.
Crime mysteries. Hey, all you creatures from cyberspace. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the GraveTalk podcast. My name is Mark, again joined with Garrett and John. Fellas, we're back at it again, doing another episode. We're taking the train to Zombieville. How we doing today?
Hanging in there. Yeah, not too shabby.
I'm going to figure out another thing for you to say. This is the third hanging in there we've done in a row.
Really? I was moving away from pretty good. That's my other stock generic answer.
You could just do what I do, John. You could just sing random bullshit songs, you know?
Yeah. I don't know any other phrases. I got to tell you what, I'm doing fine.
Okay, good. Garrett, how you doing?
I'm doing all right because I'm ready to ride this night train. So let's go.
All right, we got to get all the train puns going, get this locomotive going forward down the track.
You were so close, Mark. You could have said,
What did I miss?
I think we're on the right track here.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn it.
Mark took the long way around just to miss the mark.
What's that little thing where they can change which direction or which track the train takes? I went on the other one.
Yeah.
Should have pulled the crank or whatever it is. Okay, what have you been up to since last time? Any news or movies you want to get into before we get to the train?
Well, as promised in our Evil Dead episode, I finished up and watched Army of Darkness. And
Your favorite movie of all time now, right?
yeah. Well, here's the thing. I didn't really enjoy it that much. To quote Garrett, I get it. And I can see why people like it. It's just not for me. It's like a little too slapsticky. Definitely not horror-y. The effects were great. I love that, and it's obviously very quotable, but too far away from Evil Dead 1 or the remake for me.
Okay. I had a feeling that's the way it was going. I mean, based on your trajectory of 1 and 2, I kind of had an idea that it would just be a downward slope for you. I was just crossing my fingers maybe that you knew kind of what you were going into, that you would have a different mindset for it, but it doesn't seem to have worked.
Sadly, no. I mean, I'm not going to call it a bad movie. I will say it is just not a movie for me. I do think if I had seen this when I was like 12 to 14, I probably would have really loved it, but coming at it, in your mid 30s, I'm just like, oh, this is also, it feels so 90s, man. It feels aged. Like they just don't make that kind of humor anymore.
Well, yeah, we're well past the Looney Tunes silver age or whatever you want to call it of movie making. The influence has waned over the years, I guess. Well, just to piggyback off of John's Army of Darkness news, I was going to mention that Evil Dead Rise, since our last recording, was announced to be coming to HBO Max with Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell as executive producers. I don't care about executive producers. That never excites me, and I don't really... What does that mean exactly? That means they're putting money into a project, right? That they're not going to be in charge of filmmaking or direction or anything. They're not writing the damn thing. So I don't...
They can sometimes consult and things like that. So it just, it depends. But yeah, usually it's just finance.
Yeah. So I guess this is just going to be a movie straight to the service, not so much a TV show, which is good. We had Ash versus Evil Dead. I think we need to get back into the movie format for this franchise. But it's set, it's going to be in the city. So it's going to be 2 new female protagonists set with the Evil Dead breaking loose in a city. What do you guys think of that premise? I could be on board. I'm not sold completely yet, but it'll be interesting to see him take it out of the cabin.
Yeah. Since I'm not since this franchise doesn't hold a super special place in my heart, I'm open-minded to it. I think it could be really interesting. And I think they had no choice. I think after kind of Cabin in the Woods sort of skewered having a Cabin in the Woods movie, they had to do something fresh. So maybe moving it into a city will revitalize it in some way, or kind of, making it more urban, at least opens up certain new possibilities. So that could be interesting.
I think I would have preferred them to go back to the remake one more time. I'd love to see a sequel to that one and that hyper violent and gory version. Even, as a fan, as much as I am of the original trilogy, I think there's more to be done in the new universe. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like we've done plenty with the Bruce Campbell verse.
Yeah, I would totally agree. And it could even be, you could take the lady from the first one and how she's trying to get her life back together in a city. You could even give her a roommate, and you're 80% of the way toward this new movie.
Yeah, it's right there.
I just hope they don't rehash the same exact plot as the first one with just a female lead. I'm so tired of that. Like, I get really annoyed with it in comics. I get really annoyed with it in like movies where it's just like, let's take the same stories, but we'll put a girl in it. It's like, just give them their own fucking story, dude.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Like you can keep the franchise, just like give them their own unique story. They don't need to do the same exact thing that the first movie did, or whatever. I don't know.
What about this? Henrietta is the landlord. Someone's on my in my fruit cellar of my apartment building. You owe me rent, ladies.
I'd watch that. It could be very Beetlejuice-esque.
I've got all kinds of good ideas.
Hollywood, get at us.
I didn't actually do too much except for I did watch a few things on Shudder, but old stuff that I've already seen. Shudder, you've really stepped up your game. You've got a lot of really good originals and stuff like that coming out. Thank you very much for getting your shit together. And an update for all of our listeners, Shudder has finally decided to start expanding on their descriptions a tad. So no more spooky stuff happens in a house. We finally get to know a little bit more about what the movie might be about before you click play. So that's always cool.
Garrett, I want you to know I completely credit you for that turnaround.
You think that was me?
That's right. We're making waves.
Yes, I think they listened and were like, oh shit, I think the G-Man's right. Get our writers in here. And they all got chewed out and now they're stepping their game up.
Look, we are getting trashed by some fucking rinky-dink podcast because we refuse to put more than 2 sentences in our descriptions. Damn it, guys. We need to step up our game.
Hey, we're 3 subscribers. We pay for this service. They better listen. That's all I'm saying.
I pay your salary. I did watch a bunch of horror trailers, which as a good horror podcast person, I did not see Spiral, the Book of Saw yet. I kind of want to, though. Like, I really love Chris Rock. I like Samuel Jackson a whole lot. I really want to see what this is all about. I'm not a huge Saw series fan. Like, it's not bad, but it's just not really my thing. But I'm really interested to see what they do with this franchise and how they're going to kind of make it go forward. It feels like it's a little bit Hellraiser-ish, where they're just taking other scripts and then putting the Saw moniker on it. I kind of want to see it for myself and make that determination. Also, did not go see A Quiet Place 2 because, unfortunately, that trailer ruined the first movie for me. Evidently, what's-his-face, John Krasinski's character dies. So that kind of sucks.
Hey, you just ruined it for everybody else. You're making them live your pain now.
Look, Dumbledore dies. All right, that's all I'm saying.
Shit.
Damn. And I'm the spoiler guy.
I mean, at this point, though, it's the same thing they told me. It's like, at this point, if you haven't seen the first one, get the fuck over it. The new Conjuring trailer came out. I'm sure you guys saw that. The Devil Made Me Do It. Very interesting trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care for the trailer itself because there was a few moments that they put like random scream at a early time that made me laugh my ass off. But it looks pretty good. I'm interested to see this one. It looks like it's going to be a lot more courtroom and religious driven than the previous ones. I did see a trailer for a movie called The Night House, which is done by the director of The Ritual and VHS, David Bruckner. This one looks really crazy. It's about a woman whose like husband or boyfriend dies after he built her a house. And then she finds out there's like an exact replica house built near her, but it's like the opposite. I can't do it justice by trying to like describe it without going into like a lot of detail, but go check out that trailer for The Night House. That one looks really interesting. Less, I don't know, it's probably gonna have some jump scares, but it looks really more psychological, which looks really cool. Mark, you'll be happy to know that Don't Breathe is getting a sequel. That's a movie we got coming up.
I did see a new movie that has nothing to do with horror, Cruella, and I will tell you, don't watch that. I didn't like it.
Why the hell would you watch Cruella?
Because I'm married, Garrett, and sometimes we got to do things we don't want to do. And so we watched that, and neither of us liked it, so there.
All right.
Yeah, I understand you got to do that, but I mean, just bite down on something, let her peg you, and don't watch Cruella. I mean, it's that simple, dude.
Well, look, the buzz around Cruella was actually very positive.
Mm-hmm.
In the absence of the other one's buzz, I was like, well, whatever, let's check it out. People are saying this is good, and it's not really that great.
Well, the buzz was positive because Disney was spending some of that mouse money. And 2, I just don't care about the origin story of a dog murderer. I love dogs and I love pets and I don't want to see them. I don't want to see that person become, I don't want to feel sorry for them. It's like, was it Leatherface or whatever?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't want to pity the villain.
That's my question, Mark, as I was going to ask you is I try not to judge too much stuff before I've seen it. in a negative light. But this one it just didn't see. I'm personally not a fan of that whole, like, let's take this character that you're supposed to hate and let's like make you like understand them. Like Wicked was one of those things. Wicked was okay, but like I was like, Ratchet, the Nurse Ratchet origin story that was on Hulu. I love a good backstory, but this always just seems forced, and they always do it in a way that's kind of like, we're gonna make it quirky. So in this movie, do they try to endear you to the character of Cruella, or do they try to justify her behavior later on through her actions early on?
I was quite confused at that, to be honest with you. Neither me nor my wife felt endeared to Cruella at any point. She seemed like she was at the whims of her own making, right? Like almost a lot of the things that were happening around her, for the most part, until the end reveal, is of her own doing. So you're like, well, you did that to yourself, like, I don't care. And then she turns into Cruella mid-movie and just over the top acting, and you're just like, what is happening right now? I was struggling to figure out how exactly this movie fits into the 101 Dalmatians universe, because it doesn't. They changed just enough to make me scratch my head and go, wait a minute, how does this now fit in with the cartoon? You've changed this particular element, and now it doesn't make sense. So then I just had to say, well, this is an alternate 101 Dalmatian verse. And I don't want to do that. That's stupid. This isn't Marvel. You know what I mean? So I was at a loss with this movie pretty much from the start.
Everything wrong with modern filmmaking could be summed up with the phrase 101 Dalmatian verse. There didn't need to exist a 101 Dalmatian universe.
Yeah.
A bunch of standalone cartoons was fine. Like, I don't need a universe of every single fucking movie.
And I had so many questions, and I was like, looking at my wife, and I was like, is Cruella like a super popular character that I didn't realize had like a fandom? And she's like, I don't think so. I think it's that whole Maleficent thing they're doing. They're just taking the bad guy and making a movie around him. I was like, oh, okay.
Yes, it's exactly what they're doing. It's the Wicked, it's the Maleficent, it's that whole, we're going to take this character and it's a complicated character, Mark. And don't get me wrong, those can make some great stories, but it's just the way they handle stuff like that it's always really interesting. Because, and that was that's still my question, is like, what is the point of this movie? Are they trying to endear us to this? Are they trying to make us sympathetic to this character? Are they trying to clearly outline that this is the inciting event that created this person, which is fine in a way, as long as you're on message throughout the film.
I don't think the movie was interested in doing any of that, because they're kind of trying to set her up as this alternate anti-hero that Cruella never was. Like, that's what the point of the movie seems to be.
Yeah. She was a villain. She was a villain in a Disney cartoon. The basics is you have to be irredeemably evil, essentially, to be a villain. Like,
well,
but now they're trying to walk that back. It's a fail. I mean, like, I just don't see it. I don't want to see the inevitable Ursula or Gaston films or whatever little anti-Avengers their league they're building here.
A Gaston film alone should just be called like Gaston: date rape. It would be so, oh man, Gaston origin film. I mean, and that's what's, so interesting about this, because, John, to your point, like, a villain is a villain, but no one's born a monster in most cases. And that's what I think makes Michael Myers such a great, unique villain. And that's why I still find him the scariest of the major horror icons, is because he was just straight up evil. Q Loomis, like, I've looked into his eyes. But Cruella de Vil and, like, even other characters like that, I can see them being products of their environment. I can see them being products of, events and decisions. But she was arguably one of the most evil characters in the Disney like films. I don't want to say diminish, but to put a spin on that makes you almost feel like, sympathy for her actions later on, I think does impact her status as just a pure evil villain in 101 Dalmatians. This whole giving every villain a unique backstory, I don't want to say I'm not on board for, because I think there's some really good takes that could be done with some of these characters. I don't know. It looks good. I'm interested in seeing it, but we should probably talk about horror movies.
Yeah, I didn't expect to get that much runway out of Cruella, but there we go. And lastly, maybe a movie that our listeners are interested in seeing if they haven't already is Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. Did you guys watch this one on Netflix?
Nope.
Negative.
Okay. I will sum it up by saying this. It is a zombie movie.
You don't say.
If that's all you need to get your juices flowing, then go ahead and watch it. I found it to be fairly dull. And do you guys like Ocean's 11? Because it's basically Ocean's 11 with Dawn of the Dead blended together, only our crack team of heist guys led by Dave Bautista are really dumb. And they all bring extra baggage to the mission that all has to play out in mid-mission while we're trying to get this money from under a casino.
Yeah, it's carry-on baggage only, you fucks.
I know. It's like, I'm just sitting there going, oh my God, we're going to sit here. Like Bautista takes his daughter after, saying, don't come, you're not allowed to come. And she's like, well, if you don't take me, I'm going to just show up anyway. And she's got a secondary objective the whole time. And then Bautista brings his ex-girlfriend. So they're going to talk about getting back together mid-mission.
Wow.
Just all kinds of, it's just, if you have nothing better to do, watch it. I didn't hate it, didn't love it, but it makes all the same mistakes that all the tired zombie movies make.
And for any of you interested, you can go to change.org and you can sign my petition to have them release the non-Snyder cut of Army of the Dead. So, go check that out.
Well, here's some Snyder-ish shit. He's already shot the prequel to this movie before it was even released, so get ready. They're making another one.
Oh, boy. Also, I don't know if it was a trick question mark, but yes, I did like Ocean's 11.
Oh, yeah. That's fine. Ocean's 12 is when I got really angry at the whole franchise.
Yeah, there's no need for a sequel, but the first one was good.
Yeah, when you have a character played by Julia Roberts, then pretend to be Julia Roberts in this movie universe, I'm insulted immediately, and I hate your movie forever and ever. And I'll never forget that, Ocean's 12. Never.
Never. Well, it opens up. Oh, boy, let me tell you. The tear in the universe that one scene opened up.
Right.
It's too much for this podcast. Speaking of zombie movies, I hear that we watched one.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. We watched Train to Busan from 2016. This one has had a lot of word of mouth buzz for many years. And I don't know why it took me 5 years to get to it, but we finally did. And I would say, fellas, this might be one of the best zombie movies I've seen in quite a long time. What do you think?
I would 100% agree. I am not a huge zombie movie fan. I think I've expressed that on the podcast quite a few times. But man, this movie, banger. Absolute banger. If you haven't watched it, pause it. Go to Shudder, watch it, come back, and thank us, because this movie's amazing.
Yes, thank us.
Yeah. We are the one who recommended that you watch it, so obviously it's totally on us how great this film is.
This was a you choice, John. Why did you pick this one? Just through word of mouth, or?
Great question, Garrett. It's because it has been on my Shudder queue since I signed up for Shudder so many years ago. And I was like, I'm just never going to watch this movie unless I have to. So I picked it to force me to watch it. And like Mark, I don't know what the hell took me so long. I mean, I think it was because, it's a zombie movie. I'm probably not going to enjoy it. Wrong. I've never been so wrong in my whole life.
This podcast is just a means to an end for John to fucking burn through his queues and get his value back on things he invested in later.
I got to start a podcast just to watch these movies in my Netflix queue.
Yeah, every once in a while. But you know what? It turned out well this time because we ended up watching, I think, one of the best movies we've watched on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, I do want to put a disclaimer out there. If we have any crossover fans that watch The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs and Darcy, we did not plan this to happen. This is the first time this has happened, but they aired Train to Busan the same time that we were watching it. But we watched it first. So this is coming out after the fact, but just know that Garrett painstakingly built a schedule months in advance. So this was not pre-planned for us to just listen to Joe Bob and recite everything he says. We're not doing that today. You're getting new, fresh GraveTalk content.
You know what? We might actually be onto something. Think about it. We had Train to Busan planned. We watched it. They aired it on Joe Bob. We've been talking about how the descriptions need to be better. The descriptions have gotten better. I talked about how I like to be able to own my media and not be tied to a streaming service, and anything for Jackson is going to be available for purchase soon. We might have a secret in with Shudder. So if that's the case, Shudder.
Where's our paychecks?
Dude, we're not in it for the money. Come on.
The love of the game.
You may not be. I need cash, and I need it now. No, you might be right. Maybe they are secretly listening. If so, just give us a shout out, Shudder, once in a while. That's all we're asking for. So anyway, yeah, Train to Busan, fantastic zombie movie. I would put it in contention with Girl with All the Gifts. I don't know which one I like better. I think they're both different enough that they're both fantastic, and they probably hold number 1, number 2 slot in the zombie movies of all time for me. Yes, I still love Day of the Dead. That's probably a close third at this point. I don't know. Like, what do you think, guys? Where are we ranking these movies?
I think my rankings match yours pretty much. Like, Girl with All the... I'd have to rewatch it now because we watched that one. Like, that was one of the OG episodes way back in the day. But I do remember it being an exceptional film.
Mm-hmm.
But since this one's so fresh in my memory, like right now, like, man, this might be number 1. Like, it has its flaws. No film is perfect.
Except for Hot to Trot, starring Bobcat Goldthwait and John Candy.
Of course.
Now we got to go see if the sale for that movie spikes because of us. We're onto something here. People are listening.
If it shows up on Shudder, even though it's not a horror, you'll know. But yeah, it's just such a great movie. Yeah, I think I'll put this one, Girl with All the Gifts 2, and then Day of the Dead, and then it like pretty much rapidly drops off because I'm not a huge zombie fan. So yeah, it's like 1, 2, all the rest.
This definitely shot up to the top of my list when I saw it. There's so much about this movie that's done right, in my opinion, that really emphasizes what I enjoy the most out of a zombie flick. So it definitely shot up there. I'm still going to go with 28 Days Later as my favorite. I know that's very controversial, but I just think that movie encompasses everything that I like the most out of most of these zombie films, and does it in a way that really delivers. So I'm going to say 28 Days Later. I'm going to say Day of the Dead. I'm going to say Train to Busan. And then after that, we started getting into a hodgepodge of, the rankings can fluctuate a bit depending on the mood I'm in, but that's still what I'm going with.
Yeah, that's fair. For some reason, I forget 28 Days Later, but you're right. It's definitely in the top 5 for me, too. Rage
Zombies is one of the dumbest ideas, but it's executed so well in that movie, I don't care. So,
okay, well, let's see. We'll get into this one. This one's directed by Sang Ho Yeon. This one stars Gong Yoo as Suk Woo, Yumi Jung as Seong Kyung, Mei Dong Suk as Sung Hwa, Soo An Kim as Soo An, Ai Sung Kim as Yeon Suk, Woo Sik Choi as Yongguk, and So Hee as Jin Hee. You guys didn't think I was going to do that well, did you?
No, that was actually really well done. But now I have another question for you, Mark. Can we please go through this list and talk about each character's name as in who they are? Like, who is badass?
Yes.
Okay, because no one knows those names.
For sure. Okay, so this movie stars our titular action lead is
Seok Woo is, I believe, the character name.
Yeah, Seok Woo is the father.
Right, the fund manager.
Yeah. Soo-an is the little girl, his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Seong Kyung, I'm butchering these names, I apologize. I believe she was the pregnant woman.
Mm-hmm.
And then Song Hwa is the badass dude who's her husband, who hasn't picked a baby name yet.
Correct.
I'm going to call him Harada from Tekken fame, because he just reminded me of a badass Harada. That dude.
I'm going to call that dude MVP of the movie. That is my favorite character, hands down.
Yeah.
Reed.
He lifts that movie like he picks up zombies, dude.
You got Yongguk, who is the baseball player. Jin Hee, who is the cheerleader. You've got Yeon Suk, who is, man, these names sound very similar. He's the businessman. Yeah, he's the businessman. And everyone else is kind of ancillary after that. But those are the main characters. So I'm going to refer to them by their their fake names and not their real names. But I just wanted to make that clear before we got into it.
The businessman, I don't think I've hated anyone in any film more than I hated that guy.
Not Mika? Not Mika from Paranormal Activity?
Well, all right.
Ooh.
Different kind of hate. Mika is, I despise him because of just his nonchalantness. I don't think he is a inherently evil person. He's just a buffoon. Young Suk is just a fucking bastard. And man, I can't wait for the Disney origin story of this guy because he is pure evil.
You're talking about the businessman who convinces them to separate the survivors towards the end, right?
Right, which is one of the least evil things he does in a laundry list. All right, spoilers, whatever. You know they're coming. I'm talking. When he pushes that guy out of the bathroom, what a just grade A dick move. And then and every time he's around people, he's just actively getting them killed.
That's the thing that scares me the most about a real life zombie outbreak is just seeing how people have handled the pandemic and how selfish people have been with just this minor inconvenience. I mean, not minor inconvenience, like I'm not trying to diminish the death toll and everything, but like the minor inconvenience of what we've had to do to protect ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like just seeing people's behavior with that, I'm like, oh, we are so fucked if it's ever a zombie outbreak.
Oh, at least 40% of the population are I'm going to get bit and keep it secret people. If anything, movies underestimated how many people would pretend to have not gotten bitten.
Yes, this pandemic has completely opened my eyes to, we'd look at these zombie movies in the past and like, oh, why are they making such terrible decisions? Or why didn't they just tell them that they were bit? Why didn't they just work together? My eyes are fucking open now. Like these are true to life situations now, thanks to COVID-19. I'm a different person going into the future zombie apocalypse. So yeah, man, you're right, John. The character of Yeon Suk is such. Oh, like you said, I've never hated somebody so much in a movie in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And that dude, in fact, the whole cast. I think everybody in this movie does a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Even the kid actors. I don't even think Garrett could complain about the kid actors in this movie.
Oh, were you waiting me to complain about the kid actors of this movie?
Yeah, that was your opening.
Yeah, she did a fine job. She did a fine job for the role she had. I thought she was a little bit whiny at times, but again, she's a kid actor, and her role is supposed to be whiny at that time. So, no, everyone did a fantastic job. Before we get like further into the acting of the characters themselves, I do want to just call out real fast, like this movie. I don't know if it was tricks of film or what, but the movement of the zombies, the contortions, the way people were walking, them getting up off the ground in like crickety ways and stuff. Man, that was so damn creepy and well done in this movie.
Agreed. Like
start to finish, there was not a time when the zombies like showed up that I was like, you need to watch out. Like I was legit scared of the zombies in this film, which I thought was really cool because that happens so rarely in zombie films for me.
I would agree.
The zombies had to go through 3 months of training with a lead from a pole dancing academy, and they taught them how to move correctly. So every extra zombie in this movie had months of training to do that stuff.
Wow.
So that was all real. You know what I mean? That wasn't like some CG, them getting off the ground.
That's rad then. That was so good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that makes this movie stand out so much is because you're looking at the physicality of the zombie. Normally, we're used to either just rage running into your face or the slow lumbering zombie that's too stupid to do anything, right? Until the mass horde gets you. But this one is different than the normal rage zombie. So I was going to just say, like, how would you compare and contrast like a 28 Days Later zombie to a Train to Busan zombie?
They're very similar in their pursuit. In that aspect, they're very similar. But the movements 28 Days Later are much more humanoid, much more like, like fluid motion. And these zombies had much more of that classic, Asian kind of monster zombie, like kind of crickety walk, like bodies were contorted. People were moving with ticks and twitches with every little movement. And that was what was so, astounding to me is like even a head turn, going from like, like a 180 degree head turn could involve like 3 or 4 different twitch or ticks in that movement that just really gave you this uneasy feeling of that body and what they had become. And it still seemed fluid, but it seemed fluid with it's like listening to jazz versus classical music. Classical music's, it's like, but the jazz, it's there, but it's got its own unique feel and beat to it. That's how these zombies felt to me. And it was, I don't know, it really emphasized everything I saw, which I really appreciated because so often we take zombies for granted because it's oversaturation or whatnot. But just killed it. That's really cool to hear that they all went through that and did that physically. And I know there was some camera tricks to speed them up and, kind of things like that, but whoo.
Yeah, and the director Yeon Sang-ho also started his career as an animator. He was making adult animated films before
there it is.
Directed this, and I think that had a lot to do with how he was able to get those shots. When you're painting and drawing and creating in that way, you have a certain eye to things.
Mark, I have an important point of clarity. When you say adult animated films, do you mean...
Not porn.
Okay. Do you mean animated films for grown-ups or adult films?
Yeah, not the adult industry, but actual movies, something that has more adult themes. It's not like Disney animation.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to get that on record.
Okay.
It's called hentai and it is art.
That's not what I'm referring to.
No, that makes a lot of sense because with animation, so much of what you see in the movement is based off of timing and, exaggerated expression. So to hear that makes total sense now. So I'm glad that we got that. I love when people can bring a unique visual flair to something that it becomes so saturated that we just kind of take for granted the aspects of it. I think that's one of the reasons these Zombies and 28 Days Later hit so hard when it first came out, is we had never seen like fast moving, like to this degree, fast moving, crazy, like just bull through a china shop level zombies. So this definitely kind of, tweaked it for me, which was nice.
Yeah, a movie like this, a movie like 28 Days Later, a movie like A Girl with All the Gifts shows that there's still ideas that can be done in the zombie pantheon of films, right? But for every Train to Busan, we've got 30,000 episodes of Walking Dead that numb me to death, or an Army of Dead that seemingly had a good idea. Let's do a heist movie in a zombie apocalypse, but then just ho-hum it out the gate. It just makes you numb to all things zombie, and it's really, really refreshing to get something like this one.
Yeah, zombie movies are just at a whole nother level of uncreative. It's just astonishing how templated they are at this point.
Yeah, but that's anything though, man. I don't think we can just hold that against zombie films. I think that's, I don't know. I don't think we should hold that against it because, we wouldn't find these movies like Girl with All the Gifts or, Train to Busan if we take that mindset. You got to wade through some shit to find the gems, But this one did it. This one definitely really hit it for me. My only major complaint, and I'll just get this out of the way now, is this movie was almost 2 hours long. There's a lot of scenes where we're just holding on characters looking around for no reason. I know they're trying to kind of visually illustrate some tension and things like that, but there was a lot of scenes where it was like, this is not necessary. Like we've got it. We're just holding. But minor complaint.
I would agree. I did feel like it was a little too long, but I think its other strengths kind of made up for it. If we're going to talk about our major gripes, I'm going to get mine out of the way as well so I don't keep bringing it up. These zombies are too weak to have succeeded in their mission. I think that, this is a problem in a lot of zombie movies, but after the initial surprise, if biting is just such an ineffectual way to spread a disease, and I think we see that these zombies particularly are pretty weak because if you just throw them into the ceiling, they're combat ineffective. So I think that getting shot with a 50 cal and their chest blown up probably would have put an end, to these zombies. So I just don't think they could have overrun the entire South Korean military in 2 hours.
At the rate of spread, I don't know. That's an interesting question.
Let me get some of the other information out of the way about the movie. So on Rotten Tomatoes, we got a 94% with the critics, 118 reviews, and an 89% with the audience out of 10,000 plus reviews. Movie's budget was $8.5 million and made $98.5 at the box office. I think that's one of the highest grossing South Korean films, if I'm not mistaken. And here's what the back of the Blu-ray has to say about Train to Busan.
People get ready for the Train to Busan. No? Is that what it says?
It's close. It's close.
Okay.
When a mysterious virus breaks out across the country, the infected turn into the murderous undead. A few terrified travelers find themselves trapped on a bullet train from hell, fighting for their lives as hordes of the living dead crash towards them, crawling closer with every stop. Suspicion is rife and tensions run high as some will do anything to survive and make it to the safe zone.
I don't think the zombies were getting closer with every stop. But other than that, it was pretty okay.
Well, the ones that were on the train were getting closer with every stop.
All right, so let's talk about the zombies themselves, right? So this is it's not a new idea. I don't know if you guys know, zombies have been around for a while, but this one has some unique characteristics. Other than the way they move and get up off the ground and kind of the physicality, they seem to have a major flaw in terms of their ability to hunt. And that is, if the lights go out, they can't see you no more.
Yeah, that's one of my notes was, does this whole thing end at night? Because that does seem like a pretty big flaw if they can't.
I didn't even think of that. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's crazy if you think about it in that fashion, but yeah, like they were able to progress through the train anytime they went into a tunnel, like because they're not smelling your blood or they're not seeing your heat as we've seen in other movies. So this is literally just line of sight.
Yeah, pretty big flaw.
Well, I think that goes back to their primitive like object permanence type, mindset. But I appreciated it though. When they went to that tunnel for the first time and they all stopped, like that impacted hard for me. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I don't think this particular flaw made the movie bad in any means. I think it gave our survivors a little bit of a fighting chance, right? It's just giving these zombies a little bit of a handicap. I mean, you're stuck in a bullet tube with very little maneuverability, right? So that alone would make one think is like, well, if there's hundreds of zombies on this train, you're really not going to survive. So how could we give our survivors a little bit more of a fighting chance? I think it was a smart way to do that.
And what you just said there, they're stuck on that bullet train. Even with that, the lights out handicap that the zombies had, I think that allowed them to really utilize and use every part of that train. I was really impressed with how many different ways they had these characters move through the train and interact with the environment with the zombies there and keep it fresh. I mean, it wasn't the same thing through every single car. So that was really interesting. Like I was kind of like impressed to see them like, really take advantage of the whole area and the whole space of this train and not just, we're going to fight zombies now, which we've seen over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, very few guns in this movie, which totally ratcheted up the tension for me. I'm so tired of people with fucking M8, M80s or firecrackers, but like, like machine guns and stuff like that are just like mowing down zombies. And it's like, oh, it's not worth it. I'm just like, okay, well then why even fucking have them? I mean, it was really cool to see that like so few weaponry really present in this movie.
I think that may just be one of the things we get when we go to foreign films, right? Like a lot of these countries, they aren't allowed to own guns like America. So maybe that's just a byproduct and it may make for a better zombie film, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's better without the guns.
You gotta be kidding me.
No guns, no killing.
Where's the fun in that?
All right, John, how does this movie start?
Let's see. This movie starts with a delivery driver sort of driving through a quarantine setup where they like hose down his car and he's talking and to the guy there, the soldier, and they're like, oh, is this what do they call it? Hoof and mouth disease or whatever. If you have to kill all of my livestock again, I'm going to be really pissed. The guy's like, no, it's just it's like so nonchalant. Oh, it's just a leak in the biogenetics section of the city. It's nothing to worry about. And, all right. So the guy drives and then he gets a phone call and he is the least effectual person at picking up a cell phone I've ever seen. So he's not really looking as he's like trying to get his phone and for whatever. It's like, this is probably one of the weaker points of the movie but in the end it's so inconsequential. But he's trying to pick up his cell phone like people do things in an infomercial. Like it's just not how real life works.
There's gotta be a better way.
Exactly. So he fails to get his phone and he hits a deer and he pulls over and he's like, just my luck. I hit a deer. What a shitty day. He drives off and the deer just sort of gets back up and like creaks its neck and everything back into position, looks around, and then off it goes back into the woods or the field or wherever. Pretty effectual way to open the movie. I was like, oh shit, that's well done.
Yeah, zombie deer. Great visual, excellent opening in my opinion. The dead white eyes of a zombie deer just like looking around like it didn't even know it died, basically. and then just wandered off.
Yeah. Like, I got to go spread this disease everywhere. And off he goes.
And to introduce the outbreak with such such a mundane thing as hitting a deer, it happens all the time. People react to it. It's more of an inconvenience than it is like, the you killed something. It's always like, oh, my car, oh, my insurance, like all that kind of stuff. And then to have him drive off and just be like, this is not a big deal, and then see it just kind of crick back up to standing was such a subtle but impactful way to introduce that this was out in the wild.
You know what? The deer, the zombie deer, also tells us plenty about the outbreak situation that our survivors are going to find themselves in. It tells us that it's already airborne, and it means if you die, you turn into a zombie.
I assume the deer had eaten something or drank it, or actually, what I think happened is the deer drank water, and that's how it got affected. I don't think it's airborne. I think you have to be bitten to get it.
I don't think it's made absolutely crystal clear about that, but there is a conversation going on with one of the characters on the train who's on a phone, and the word airborne ? Came up on the screen in the subtitles. So that's what kind of led me to solidify my belief that it was airborne.
Oh, see, I thought that was them asking, like, is it airborne?
You watched the prequel, John. Was there any info there?
No, the prequel doesn't do anything to it. Calling it a prequel is a bit of a misnomer. It's just a movie that takes place before this movie, but it doesn't really explain anything. The prequel opens with someone having been bitten. It's just basically follows another set of characters going through the outbreak, but this time in a city instead of a train. Really decent, but unfortunately not a lot of extra exposition. But the reason I think it was in the water is because in the next scene, we're about to meet Seouuuuul, and he is eating his Burger King. I remember this because it was insane product placement. It was like so obvious. Like every Burger King logo was facing the camera. But anyway, he's eating his Burger King and he sees on his computer monitor a whole bunch of dead fish. And then he calls in the real MVP of the movie, Assistant Kim, and is like, we got to dump all of our stocks on this biotech facility because some crazy shit went down. And Kim's like, that's probably going to cause some bad effects. And Seouuuul's just like, I don't pay you to think. Go.
Well, wait.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have questions about that then because, he says that, because I remember at the end, to John it up for a minute here, like Kim is on the phone with him. He's like, did we do this? Did we create this outbreak? Like, are we responsible? Like, I have to know. Like, that was a great phone conversation where Kim's breaking down and like, kind of really like reflecting on like what impact do they have. But if they just dumped all the stocks, how is that like in any way related to what happened?
I think the idea is it was their money and their investment that allowed this company to create this weapon or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So it's like indirectly, like, yeah, I don't think they like instructed the company to make this, but they kind of enabled it.
Kim's initial hesitation to dump the stock was about causing issues with the market, right? That is separate from his now having to reflect about his life choices at the end of the film. He's thinking more of the company as a whole there.
Yeah.
As where at the beginning of the film, when he's dumping the stock, he's like, won't this fuck everything up in terms of the economy? Like, does the two different things, but I can see how that would make some confusion there.
Yeah. The way John said it, I thought that, like, by dumping the stock, they like, well, we have no more money. Just start leaking this shit out into the open. I was like, how did that? Right. I was like, how do you connect those fucking dots?
No, they had already done the leak.
Yeah.
So he was just trying to cut and run.
Yeah, just the way you said it kind of made me like second guess. Like, wait a minute, did I have this wrong? And I don't know if this was because of like really good acting and like the script writing, or if this was just like my personal perception of the character. But I hated the dad character so fucking much. And I know we're supposed to like think of him as selfish and we're not supposed to like be endeared to him, but holy shit, I wanted that character to die so early on. I was like, honey, you're better off as an orphan.
I think that's the journey the movie wanted you to go on, right? Where it was when you meet him and this like is about to happen, where also right after he insults and dismisses Kim, he goes, hey, what do kids like these days? Because it turns out it's his daughter's birthday and naturally he hasn't bought her shit yet. But he gets a phone call from his ex-wife and she's like, hey, Seouuuuul wants to come up here for her birthday tomorrow. She said she can go on her own. She really misses me, da 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 da. And he's like, obviously that's gibberish. I'm never gonna let my like 8-year-old daughter on the train on her birthday all by herself. I'll take her when I have time. And then she's like, don't forget it's her birthday tomorrow. And he gets very offended, which makes me think that he has forgotten in the past. Because his reaction, he like screams at her, like, of course I know it's her birthday. It's like, I think you're protesting too much, my man. Well, he goes inside and he meets his mom, who nannies for him while he's at work. And she's like, hey, Seouuuuul had her recital today. And she didn't finish the song, and she, really wanted you to be there. It was a shame that you weren't there. And he was like, well, I got to work. And he goes to see his daughter, and she's under her blankets talking to her mom, and she like hangs up when he comes in. He's like, oh, you could have kept talking. And she's like, whatever. What do you want, Dad? And he gives her the present that he bought, and it's a Wii.
What do you want, Dad?
Yeah. And it's a Wii, and she looks so disappointed. And he's like, oh, do you not like Wii's? And the camera, man, such great camera work, just like slowly pans up, and there's a Wii already at her TV, like plugged in.
Okay.
And she's like, yeah, you bought this for me like 6 months ago.
It's even better because like she's holding the Nintendo Wii box in her hand and she's looking at it, and then they pan up, like the Nintendo Wii is sitting there, but the display box is right behind it, just in case you don't know what a Wii looks like. The actual like retail box is behind it, so it's like, it's the same thing, which I actually thought was really good because the Nintendo Wii looks like the weirdest fucking thing ever. And if you don't know what it is, you would be like, what the fuck did they just pan to? Even at this point, we are 100% like indoctrinated that this guy is a bastard. He doesn't have his shit together. He doesn't really care about his family. And 80% of the movie, they spend like hammering that home for this character. So the 15% at the end, I'm not including 5 because there was like some dead space in there, but like 15% at the end, when we're supposed to be like, oh, he's actually caring about people, or he's finally got a connection with his daughter. Who fucking cares? She's like, like I sung that song for you. I learned how to do it, and just for you. And he's just like, I know, honey, I love you. And it's like, okay, that's great. This is empty words. Like I've had deadbeat dads, all right? I know what the fuck this is. This is like, there's nothing here. There's no redemption story other than the fact that he doesn't eat his daughter when he becomes a zombie, which I'm sorry, doesn't make me think you're a good guy. It basically just makes me go like, all right, like honestly, she would have been better off taking the train by herself. I said it. I'm done.
Damn.
You said a lot of things, but I have things to say about this scene before we walk away from the Wii, fellas.
Yeah.
First off, he gave her this Wii on some holiday called Children's Day. And I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck is a Children's Day? And I went and looked it up, and it started in 1923, and it was originally called Boys' Day until 1975. And I was like, oh, that sucks. Well, at least they'd fix that, but it took them 60 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
But it turns out it's a day that was founded by a children's writer for children to have a sense of independence and national pride, and they highlight the dignity of children and their need for love, care, and respect, which brings me a lot of questions of, man, they really must have shat on children's up until 1923. And they get these extra presents, and then me, as being a pig-headed American, very greedy man, was like, does that mean that I missed out on a potential present day at being a U.S. kid? Where was my Children's Day?
Jesus, Mark. Good God.
Yeah, it seems like you missed out on approximately 18 presents. I don't know how many presents, if you get one per year, but yeah, some bullshit. You should go to your parents and send them a bill.
On Children's Day, there's parades, public activities, museums, zoos, and amusement parks, and theaters are usually free for children. So you missed out on that too, not just presents.
Oh, that's cool. All we get is like a free fucking ice cream cone at Denny's nowadays. Fuck you, USA.
Yeah, no, actually, I realized that my life in America was probably much better, so I wasn't really upset. I just was like, hey, that's a holiday we didn't have. What is it? What does that entail?
I'll tell you what, Mark, you're going to be astonished to know about how many holidays America doesn't have. A globe's worth.
Oh, I thought everything was Americanized these days. But did you guys catch the end to the Wii plot line? There's more to this story. I don't know if you saw it.
No, I did not know there was a story or a plot line, so please enlighten me.
Oh boy, here we go.
There was a point where the dad says, we can exchange the Wii for whatever else. And that's where he's like, you're taking me to see mom and she will not take no for an answer. And good for her.
She totally checkmates him.
Yeah. He's like, that's it, Dad. I got you. That's not the end of it. She got herself a Nintendo 3DS. And that was sitting on the seat next to her on the train. You only see it for 2 seconds, like, aha, they traded in that Wii before they got on the train.
Or maybe she already had a 3DS.
I was in the box, Garrett. I don't think she's just going to take the product box with her.
Look, Mark, she's the kind of girl that put the retail box for the Wii behind the Wii on her fucking dresser. She might be the kind of girl to take the retail box with her.
I like my story better. They had to stop off at the KB Toys because they still exist over there. I'm totally making that up. I just like saying KB Toys before they got on the train to Busan.
I'm glad that you put the button on that plot line. I'll tell you what, I didn't even know what's happening. But now I feel like I just got into a deeper level of the movie. I'm one level deeper now. All right. So then after he gets guilted about the Wii, he goes and watches a video that his mom took of her singing, and he sees that that she's singing, and I'm not going to badmouth child singing, but that was tough. Then he sees her quit, and she kind of looks off at the distance, and he mournfully closes the camera, and next thing we know, they're in the car on the way to the train to Busan. And as he's driving, there's a little bit of bonding time. And then we see like 17 fire trucks and ambulance and police cars rushing off to a fire in, looks like an apartment building. And I think that's supposed to be like the first clue that shit's going down.
Yeah, I mean, they almost crash into the parade of emergency vehicles, too.
Yeah.
Well, it is Children's Day, so there is parades.
Yes. They make their way onto the train, and as they board, we see somebody run and sneak onto the train. I don't know how this guy missed it. I can't imagine that the terminal, darkly lit with no lights, but the guy, the ticket taker, whoever's in charge of letting people on the train, looks to the left, and then someone runs right by him and gets on the train. Now, he was looking that direction before he turned his head. You telling me he didn't see someone barreling as fast as they could to hop on that train? Because that was a fast sprint.
So I had a million notes about how unobservant people were in this movie, but then I did some reading, and it turns out, and this is something I didn't know as an American, so I learned that sort of element is sort of commentary on Korean culture, where people tend to just not see things or like look away on things that they don't want to see. So the reason that like that woman you're referring to can like go through an entire train cart looking like just total trash and no one really looked or pay attention is that was like the director's way of being like sort of shining a light on how people in South Korea, don't always see what they don't want to see.
Well, John, doesn't that happen in the U.S. too? Like, I mean, you were from New York. Didn't that shit happen on the subway? Don't you just kind of like ignore the like, oh boy, crazy person shit in a bag. I'm just going to focus on my news.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think it comes with any culture where you live in close proximity to a lot of other people, because you just can't be engaged with 100,000 people at a time. Like, it's just impossible. So you just sort of learn to like, I'm just going to mind my own fucking business. And what's important to me is sort of what's in my area.
So there you go, Mark. That's how it happened.
Color me educated then, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to go back and scratch out a bunch of notes about like, how could they not see this? What are they looking at? Because it's pretty on the nose. And I guess, I think if you're, this is, I think, one of the challenges of watching foreign movies and not being super familiar with the culture is I feel like there's a bunch in this movie that I probably just did not get that like a South Korean person would be picking up on that I, obviously did not.
Yeah, that's fair. So as John alluded, the girl that snuck on the train, she's infected. She's been bit. There's like some black veinies going away from the bite mark on her leg. So one of the other things that I think differentiate this zombie from others is the gestation period, right? Like when somebody's bitten in this movie, sometimes it seems almost instantaneous switch. Whereas the girl who gets on the train with the bite on her leg, she seems to take like a good half hour.
I think it's because of the tourniquet. She puts a tourniquet around the bite, and I think that is what slowed it down for her.
The girl with all the bits.
For real. Okay, so you're saying like if you get bit on the foot, if you can twisty tie your leg off a little bit, you get a few more minutes than saying bit right in the neck where it goes straight to the brain maybe or something like that?
Yeah, it's like venom.
Right. That's I think location and blood flow. I mean, I think it's inevitable, right? No matter what, you're gonna turn. Like the tourniquet isn't gonna save you, but you might get an extra 2, 3, 20 minutes here or there.
Yeah, because other characters had the same thing. Like, she gets bit like in the lower part of the leg, and then, she tourniquets it. Later on, one of our characters gets bit in the hand, and he's got about 4 to 5 minutes before he turns. Other people get bit in the neck area, and they turn way faster. So I think it is about the blood flow. So
yeah, okay, I'll accept it. There was just certain people that would get bit that seem to last much longer than other people. So if it's location based, I'll accept it and move on. So the movie does something that I thought was pretty clever, and that is some of the passengers on the train here go up to one of the ticket takers and like, hey man, some weirdo just got on the train and it's not too kosher. I think you need to go see what's going on. And he's like, oh, okay. And I immediately thought they were going to reveal the girl with the bite. No, there's another man who apparently that the movie didn't show us, but also snuck on the train, and he's hiding out in a bathroom talking about how everybody was dead. And he sounds like a crazy person, so everybody starts kind of crowding around him. And then Seouuuuul, her dad's asleep on the train, and she wanders up to see what the commotion is. And I'm like, who's just letting this kid walk up to an event? Like, push the kid away.
It was so weird.
It's Children's Day. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
No, it's not. It's her birthday. It's not Children's Day. Children's Day already happened.
Yeah, that was 6 months ago when she got Wii number 1. We're at Wii number 2, Carrot. Wii number 2 on the timeline.
Yeah, and she gets right in the front. Like, they don't know if this man is dangerous. He's just muttering, and they let her put herself between this unknown man and the train crew. It's like, why would they let a child be in that position of danger? But they don't care at all.
Because it's Children's Day. And I think you're wrong. I think it is Children's Day because I think she's on the phone. She's like, for Children's Day, I want to come see you tomorrow.
No, it's her birthday.
Yeah, it's her birthday.
Her birthday?
Yeah, she has the worst birthday ever. Poor Seouuuuul will never get to have a good birthday in her whole life because she's just going to remember, oh yeah, my birthday is the day the whole fucking world ended.
Well, to be fair, she got rid of that deadbeat dad, so she's doing all right.
I want to meet that dad. Do-do-do-do.
Before Seouuuuul inserts herself into this event with the crazy man in the bathroom, they pass by the MVP of the movie. Was he like a wrestler? Like, did they ever say what his job was?
Nope. He's just an all-around badass.
Yeah, there you go. John, you got it.
And that's Sang-hwa. And Seouuuuul's trying to find a bathroom to go to, and Sang-hwa's standing out in the aisle, and she goes up to a bathroom. And I don't know if this was just an odd translation or if he meant to say this, but he goes, you can't go in there. There's 2 people pissing in there. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What is being said right now? And later the revelation is his pregnant wife. It's like, oh, okay, 2 people. She's peeing for 2. I feel like there could have been a better way for that phrase to be said. And then I was like, well, is this character just going to say weird shit throughout the movie? But no, this was it. And I really think it was like a translation thing.
Has to be. It was so confusing. Because, yeah, I was like, peeing for 2? What are they talking about? It just had to be like a poor translation.
Well, it wasn't even peeing for 2. It was 2 people pissing.
Yeah.
It's like, that's completely different. And like, wait a minute, how does that work?
Let me explain to you how babies work, all right? The baby inside you pisses, and then you piss out what the baby pisses.
Oh, no, I get it. But there was no evidence of a pregnant anybody before that line was said.
Also, I love later on, she just refers to it as the fetus. Like, I love the fact that she was very it's just a fetus right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I appreciate that.
Yeah, she was awesome too. She was co-MVP. I did like the wife. I thought she was a great character as well.
Yeah, she turned around for me. So At this point, the outbreak occurs, right? The girl in the bathroom with the bite turns, and then she walks out of the bathroom and starts convulsing and falls over. And then one of the what is a train flight attendant? What is that role called?
I think it's just attendant. I don't think it's train attendant. I think it's just attendant.
Okay, so one of the employees, the attendant, a female attendant, starts attending to the girl who was turning into a zombie. She radios up to the front, like, hey, there's something going on with this woman. We need a medical crew and quickly. And then she turns her back on this person, which I thought was a really dumb idea. Even if she's not turning zombie, don't you want to keep that person in your line of sight? You don't need to turn around to have a conversation with anybody on a phone.
Yeah, the whole thing was weird because she was like, a medical emergency, like, and her supervisor, he just is like, fuck, all right. And he's like slowly walking his way over there. It's like, you'd think there'd be a little bit more of a hustle if one of your employees is like, I think somebody's dying here. Then he doesn't start running until the zombie outbreak part comes.
I worked at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas for one summer. Let me tell you, sometimes they're not running for shit, okay? It doesn't matter what's going on. I mean, I get it. I think there's also some cultural thing there of like turning away and like not saying it directly at them. But I don't know. I appreciated the fact that they got into it real quick. They just had her turn and then attack like ASAP. Like we didn't waste a whole bunch of time.
Yeah.
No, it was a very fast outbreak. She jumps on her and chomps down on her neck. And then we get a good scene of the attendant walking through the aisles with the zombie lady, like piggybacking on top of her while everybody just looks at her and we're like, what the fuck? Like nobody moves either until she turns, which is, like I said, this is one of those instantaneous turning into a zombie. So now we got two zombies and just mayhem breaks out. Everybody starts freaking the fuck out and running to the opposite end of the train. And this is a really big train. We're talking, what, 17 cars or something like that?
At least, yeah, because they're in car 14 at one point. So, yeah, I mean, there's quite a few train cars.
Yeah, I guess just a major mode of transportation. These things are going to be massive, to fit as many people as possible. So that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's mass chaos. People are turning left and right. And like Mark says, everyone's trying to run to the back of the train. And so eventually kind of all of the survivors are at the back, more or less, except for Mr. MVP and his wife, co-MVP. And they're running, and everyone's yelling at Seouuuuul, close the door. And he looks right in their face and fucking closes the door on them. But he has a change of heart, and he does open the door back up just enough to let them slide in. And they're like, you dick. And so right away, Seonghwa and Seouuuuul do not get along. He's like, I can't believe you closed the door on me. And Seouuuuul's like, look, it's not just me. There's like a bunch of people in this train car. I didn't know what was going to happen. He's like, you're a real dick, you know that? And his wife, though, super smart, grabs some newspaper, wets it, and like throws it up on the window. So all the doors, I think this is important, all the doors on the train are of like plexiglass. So you can see right through them. So she covers up the doors. And as soon as the zombies can't see the people, they just calm down. They just go about their zombie business. And so now the movie kind of takes a breather.
They got real object permanence issues. Like, I think at one point, like, oh God, what was his name? The MVP. Korean Harada.
Seonghwa.
He basically is like, wait, I don't think they know how to work the door. Like, he sees it. He's like, let go of the door. And then that's when the wife's like, oh shit, you're right. Puts the newspaper up. I mean, that's the stuff that I love the most about this movie is like all the little subtle moments between these characters. Cause I mean, you have your major like blatant arcs, like, Korean Harada thinks that, businessman is a complete asshole or dad is a complete asshole. And they have that like whole thing going on. But like, there's always these moments of like, I don't want to call them levity, but these moments of like figuring things out about the environment that really kind of like showed me that when they wrote the script, they really, really thought about everything around, not just like what the characters' actions were. But that was a really cool scene.
And that's where I got to kind of disagree with you, Garrett, on the dad's arc, his overarching. You said that he's still a shit dad or by the end of the movie. I don't think that's true because now he's going to have this moment with MVP Seonghwa, right? He's like, you're an asshole, and they're gonna have this journey, right, where he keeps calling him out, and you see the dad start to think about other people other than himself. So where he's gonna save other people, you know what I mean?
I get that, and we got a little bit of that, but the thing is it was like it was just way too little too late. In my opinion, like in the movie, it's not until like almost 3/4 of the way does he actually start saving other people, you know? And it's usually only because, you know, Korean Harada is like yelling at him and calling him a dick and stuff. It's like without that external like force of like, you know, like pointing out consistently, like you're being a dickhead, stop being a dickhead. He really doesn't come to these things on his own. Not until the very last.
Well, that's how people grow.
Yes, that's true. But at the same time, something like, you know, caring about people, it's like, man, I don't know. It didn't catch for me. I had a real problem with it, especially at the end where he's just like with the daughter. The daughter's instantly cool with like, oh, okay, I've seen you save one person. All is forgiven. I was like, this is years of neglect, hon. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, you know, you need more than that.
I mean, she's like an 8-year-old girl. Of course she's going to be sad at what's about to happen. Like, what did you think is she supposed to be like, thanks, Dad, but this is not enough?
Yeah, I think she should have opened the door and been like, do a header. Like, you know. Like,
the 8-year-old was not around or coherent enough for the quote unquote years of neglect. She only finds out her dad's a piece of shit literally in the movie.
Yeah.
Like whenever Korean Harada literally starts talking shit about her dad in front of her, and the mother, the pregnant lady's like, don't say that in front of the daughter. And then the daughter's like, well, I guess he's kind of saying what everybody's thinking, right? Like she goes through her own journey of like, oh, my dad is a piece of shit.
Right.
But then she watches him redeem himself.
oh, she did not look surprised by that.
She totally was, because when they get to the first stop, when the dad tries to drag her away from the crowd, she realizes that her dad's a piece of shit and starts crying right there in the middle of the fucking train station. So she totally does. That's the moment of realization that her dad sucks.
No, she realizes before that, Mark. So in this very scene, she gets a seat, and this is where we meet the two older people. Seouuuuul gets up and lets one of the elderly ladies sit down, and her dad's like, why did you do that? You should, in moments like this, you always have to think about yourself first. And Seouuuuul's like, well, you know, Granny's knees always hurt, so I thought it'd be a nice thing to do. And her dad's like, you're gonna need to cut that bullshit out.
I wish that was the line.
Yeah, but that wasn't the epitome of the realization. That was just like, oh, dad's being a kind of a dick here.
All right, fair.
But like when her dad was literally going to drag her away so everybody else could die and save their own skins, that is literally the moment where she's like, my dad sucks, and just can't handle it.
I don't think that was the moment she realized it. I think that was the moment it was solidified in her mind, because she was talking shit on the phone. Like when she was under the cover, she was like, I want to come see you. Dad's like, you know, like she knew her dad was fucking garbage before then. It was just at that point she was like, oh, wow, this is complete garbage. Not just the garbage directed at me. Like, I guess it was more of a like, oh, this extends to everyone, not just my failed like relationship with him. But yeah, no, it was very heartbreaking to see that kid have to like realize that her dad was like, she's like, well, we got to go tell them they're going to get ambushed. And he's like, no. And she's like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, she starts crying. Oh man, that was heartbreaking. I was like, oh, you poor girl. But again, this is why the dad should just jump off the train way earlier. She'd just be better off with carrying people. Like, I would have loved if the expected husband and wife had like adopted her and just taken her in. That would have been so much better.
Well, I think some of that happens.
I think the dad was very pivotal to their survival to the end. Even though a lot of people die along the way, he saves her multiple times, especially when they get to the train station blockade. Like, he's really heavy lifting there. You know what I mean? Without him, they would have died.
That's only at a legal obligation, though. I bet he didn't care. You guys leave out one thing in the movie that we got introduced to was the South Korean baseball team,
right?
That was on the train. They're going to someplace, but they're in like full baseball, gear and uniforms. And one girl like sneaks on, and she's like, "I'm your cheerleader, so I'm gonna go." Like, how'd you manage this? And she's like, "I'm here to like cheer you guys on." She goes and sits next to one dude, and she's like, "What are you listening to?" Yanks his earphone out of his ear, and she's like, "You're not listening to anything." And he's like, "Just leave me alone." And then my favorite line in the movie is like, "Look, I like you. You should just appreciate that and get on board with this." And everyone's like, get on board, get on board. I was like, holy crap, man, this is insane. I loved that scene so much. It was so bizarre.
That happened to me every Friday at the pep rallies. Girls would just flock to me, yank my earbuds out, take my Discman away, and be like, I am your destiny. You know what I mean? It was rough going in high school, guys.
I bet. Sounds terrible.
Wait, what happened? None of that's true. Let's get back to the movie. So as I said, they're going to we kind of skipped ahead a little bit, but they get a radio. The conductor gets a radioed over and is like, hey, at the next stop, the military's taken over. This is going to be the last stop for the train. You guys all have to get off at it was like Donegal or something like that.
I think it's like Dijon. There you go. So they get informed that Dijon is going to be the last stop, and there's this dickhead CEO who ends up being the major villain of the film for us. He's like, no way, we got to make it to Busan. But they're like, no, man, we got to stop and see what's going on at this station. Kim calls the dad and says, hey, listen, we've got a back way for you to go. No, that's not what happens.
No way! Rejected!
Boom.
The dad goes to a different train and calls this guy, Lieutenant whatever, and is like, look, is Dijon safe? And they're like, yeah, the military's there. We're going to put you in quarantine. And he's like, I can't go into quarantine. I'm with my daughter. How else can I go? And he's like, all right, when you get off the train, everyone's going to go straight. You make a right. I'll let my guys know that, that you two are coming. And he's like, all right, cool. And then he goes back to the train, and that's how they set it up. While Analyst Kim is an MVP of the movie, not related to how he almost gets everybody killed.
Okay. I'm glad that John will stop me dead in my tracks, just like the Train to Busan, to make sure that Kim does not get any fucking credit that he doesn't deserve. Good on you.
I'm just trying to prevent our listener from losing faith in our ability to poorly recreate the plot of this movie.
Can we start using the term listeners as in plural? Because every time you say listener, I just get really sad. Yeah, and this is the scene where they get off and they go to the East Gate, and this is where we get the scene that I just described where, the dad's like, we're going to go this way. Everyone else is going to quarantine. Oh, no, the homeless guy, the guy that was in the bathroom shows up and he's like, no, I heard your phone call. I'm going with you because they're going to put everyone in quarantine. And the little girl's like, we got to go tell them. And that's when the dad's like, fuck them. And then she just breaks down crying, as we talked about. We cut back to the people who the military, are there. But the military has been infected. So now we got military zombies. And they are bum rushing the people. So everyone's like panicking and running back to the train.
Yeah, and this whole scene is so well shot. The choreographed zombie attack, watching everybody try to run back, and so we were probably at what, safe to say, maybe 60 survivors, 50-ish survivors. And now that this horde of military zombies, plus whoever was at the station in Donegal, did I say that right? Dijon?
Close enough.
Dijon.
They're getting bum rushed, right? So now we're losing survivors left and right, and we're probably going to whittle this down to about 20-25. MVP Korean Harada takes a moment to actually save asshole dad, and that's part of his lesson that he's learning throughout the way. Is like, oh, other people care about me. Maybe I need to do that as well. But he's the whole time is like, hey, asshole, come on, get back on the train. Hurry up, let's go. I think also he's starting to get a soft spot for the girl as well.
Right. He saves the daughter's life because the daughter is about to get bitten, and the dad had run away from. He's like, you stay right here. And he's running down a hallway to what he thought was a soldier. And when all this shit hits the fan, like we described, his daughter is about to get bitten when Seouuuuul punches the zombie, picks her up, hands her to his wife, and they run off.
Yeah, and when we say punches the zombie, this dude, they set him up as the physical badass. He's full on uppercutting and punching out zombies and twisting their necks and snapping them. The dude's bulk, man. So when he's fighting zombies, he's just going toe to toe with them. Which is really cool because everyone else is kind of using their environment and, using their cunning to kind of get around them. This dude's like, I've got fists. I'm good.
Yeah, there's some good riot shield and baton action too going on that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, at first I was like, what the fuck's he doing? Because he was slowing down while he was trying to get on the train. And then I saw what he was going for and I was like, bright move, dude. Bright move. Brains and brawn.
That's a good father right there. You see what I'm saying, guys? He would have been better off adopting Seouuuuul, whatever her name was, and boom, end of story.
Suyin, yes. So eventually the survivors get back on the train, and now they're split into three groups. There's Seouuuuul, Sanghua, and the baseball kid. Those three are a group. The wife, whose name I can't remember, Suwon, and one other person. One of the elderly ladies are a group, and then kind of everybody else, the COO and the baseball kid's girlfriend, and like the remaining kind of nameless survivors who are all going to die, are a third group. And they're kind of spread throughout the train, and they don't know of each other. These three groups are kind of they don't have a way to really successfully communicate.
And that third group is actually the big group is towards the front of the train, more towards the front of the train. The middle group with the expected mother, the daughter, and the older lady. One thing to point out is that older lady was there with her sister. They got separated. So that's an important plot line that you're going to need to remember. And then at the very end of the train, around like car 15 or whatever, that's where, the baseball kid who has the girl that has a crush on him, Korean Harada, and the shitty dad, those are where they're on. They got to get to the front of the train somehow. And that's kind of like the next that's like almost like act 2 of this movie is them trying to get to the front of the train.
Right. So I think the dad calls the daughter, or the badass calls his wife. I can't remember. Somebody calls somebody, and they're like, look, we're alive. We're on cart 9, and they're like, shit, we're on car 15. We have to go rescue them. And then, like Garrett said, that's the plan. They're going to fight their way from where they are at to where the wife and the kid are, which, I mean, I get it. I probably would make the same decision to try and rescue them because they're trapped in a bathroom.
It doesn't quite dawn on them that they could use the tunnels to their advantage until they're about to be overtaken at one point on their quest to get to train 9. And then they go into a tunnel, and then all the zombies just stop, and they're like, "Oh shit, let's fucking make a move." Let's get up a little closer. And I like how segmented everything feels. It's almost like a level, right? They got to go to level 1, level 2, level 3 to make it to the end goal here. But I think that worked really well for the segmentation of this journey. It gave you time to breathe in between, and then kind of plan out the next train car and how they were going to tackle it, because each one is a little bit different.
Right. And I think they do a good job of mixing kind of, just in some cards, they just fight their way through, just pure muscle. And then in others, they like use kind of tactics. They like crawl on the luggage rack, or they use the phone as like a noisemaker to draw all the zombies away so they can sneak through the door. I thought, they were just very creative.
The three people that are in the last car, Korean Harada, the shitty dad, and the baseball player. What's so great about this is these three characters, like at the start of this whole chapter, like it doesn't seem that big of an impact. It's like, oh, these three characters are together. But as they start going through, each one kind of gets to showcase their weaknesses and some of their strengths, which is really great, because the first car, they kind of just like, they're just fighting through, being kind of badasses, and you get to see the shitty dad kind of stepping it up. Like, he's really putting in some effort, helping the other two around him, which is really cool to see. You kind of see that he's slowly starting to, realize that it can't just be him. Then they get to a car where like all his, the baseball teammates are turned into zombies, and the baseball player is like, he's kind of shell shocked. He can't fight him. So the shitty dad and Korean Harada kind of like take the lead and kind of, take him out for him. It was a really great like moment of like showing how like they were picking up for each other's weaknesses, and the balance of that really worked well. And through that, we get the tunnel scene. And as John mentioned, they do, the dad is like, hey, give me your cell phone. I figured out a plan. We can use this as a distraction. And he throws it, and then he calls it to distract him. And it's like this really shitty K-pop song. And then they get to the car, and they get to that car, and they close the door, and it's all like, what's up with your shitty ringer? He was like, what's wrong with my ringer? Also, how do you change your ringtone?
It was funny. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a really great moment of like comedy, which in this movie did not have a lot of. In more American horror, you get like those moments of levity, and they tend to, default to comedic, stuff to kind of, defuse the situation. This was one of the very few moments in this movie that we actually had some comedy.
Yeah. There's not like a comic relief character, which for sure when they remake this movie, they're going to shoehorn in. So they fight their way. They meet up with the mid group. So now father and daughter, husband and wife, all reconnected. And this group now is like, okay, we're going to go as a unit to go meet up with the other group that has the girl who has the crush on the baseball kid. And so he calls her and is like, all right, we're all together. We're coming. Just, heads up, we're on our way. And this is where COO reincarnates into like Dr. fucking Evil and is like, how do we know these people aren't infected already? I mean, I get it because everyone's panicked and like I understand that logic isn't like in people's minds, but these fucking zombies can't use doors. How do they think they're texting and making phone calls?
You say logic's not really in their minds, except this guy is being logical. He's being like clearly evil and logical. Like he's using his evilness to like logic them into fucking over it's like you said, there's so many reasons why they should all believe like, oh, they're not actually zombies. But this dude starts poisoning their minds. Like, no, anyone who's not in this car is dead to us.
Yeah.
Which kind of seemed not completely out of line, but he kicks it up to 11 real fast.
It's just bonkers, right? And she's like, and the girl is like, what are you talking about? Those are like our friends and family. We are not just, they're not zombies. And they like basically kidnap her. They hold her arms back. They like cover her mouth so she can't answer the phone or scream. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah, isn't this the part where, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, this is the part where they actually make it to the car, they're banging on the door to be let in, and they won't let them in.
Mm-hmm.
I do not remember how they let them in, though.
So they fight their way to the groups. So there's a little bit more drama there, and the group with the COO has tied the door shut using neckties. So they can't get in, and behind them is just this mob of zombies, right? And like I would say second saddest, Garrett will probably say saddest scene in the movie happens where our MVP is like holding the door shut, him and the bad dad. And they're like, and the remaining characters are banging, trying to get the other group to let him in, and they won't let him in. And they're, the baseball kid's beating on the door with his bat to try and break the glass. The MVP gets bit in the hand, and that fucking sucked. I was so upset when that happened.
I had a feeling that was going to be, he would be the one to get it because there was so many moments of the movie up at that point where I thought he was going to get it before then. I was like, this could be some foreshadowing, and plus he's the muscle, right? He's always been the one that's almost been, in that close proximity with their mouths.
True.
Almost the entire movie. It was just bound to happen, but you're right. I was pretty bummed. I was like, oh man, there goes the MVP.
Can I ask you guys a question? And you might have more information on this than I. Can you remember a movie where they have like an endearing character who, like a zombie film or anything like that, who's just a really good person all around, like doesn't have a fucking bunch of drama and baggage and shit with them, and they actually survive? Because I'm getting real tired of having total badasses like do everything for everyone and then get it at the fucking end for like this big emotional pull of like, oh shucks, that character you like that's the dude who would survive. That's the smart one. That's the one who's like, I don't know. It pisses me off when movies do that so much. And I can't think of another movie where like the really good character who like is selfless and awesome and capable makes it to the end.
What about the gal from Day of the Dead? Didn't she make it to the end, the main character of that?
Yeah, but she's like all like traumatized and shit like that. She's dealing with like her own, like I'm talking about people who are not like, oh my God, like in even Night of the Living Dead, like the girl becomes a badass at the end, but like for the first part, she's kind of worthless. Same with Day, she's kind of, like, oh, we're never going to make it out of here. I don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. And then like she totally comes into her own.
I don't think it happens because they have to pull your heartstrings and it works. I mean, it's just, I think there's certain beats to a story that folks expect. And yeah, I mean, beloved character who dies 3/4 of the way through the movie is probably like in one of those screenwriter handbooks, all right, you're on page 90 of your 120 page script, kill the beloved character to raise the stakes.
I think that's why in Scream, when Jamie Kennedy gets killed and then comes back and he's like not actually dead at the end, I was so glad when that happened. I think that's one of the reasons Scream is so subversive in its writing, is that like it does take all these tropes and kind of twist them just enough to where you're like, it feels familiar, but it also kind of like, spins it on you. You're like, you didn't expect this. Because I guess that would be the one example I could think of. But they do make it seem like he dies though.
Cabin in the Woods, I can't remember the guy's name.
Shaggy.
Yeah, Shaggy. We thought he died, and we find out that he was just hiding in the elevator.
Yeah, good point. Good point. All right, anyway, sorry to derail that. Get it? Derail that?
Oh.
But So Korean Harada gets bit.
So he's like, he tells the bad dad, Seouuuuul, to like, "Hey, look, you go. I'm going to hold this for as long as I can. Like, you got to go open that other door." So he holds it back and we see him like slowly, to Mark's point, right? He's like slowly fighting, becoming a zombie. And eventually they bash through the door and the survivors are able to go into the other car. They slam the door closed. So now there's once again kind of the movie's taking a breath. Zombies are in one car, humans are in another. Seouuuuul punches the COO like right away. He's like, "You killed those people. We all could have survived." Not only does our favorite character die, but the elderly sister also dies. She's not fast enough. So those two characters died in this disaster caused by the COO. And so as he's like just getting beaten, he's like, Seouuuuul is infected. Look at his eyes. He's about to turn. All of these people are infected. And the bunch of fucking, I don't even know what they are, like losers in that car, like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. These people who in no way are exhibiting any symptoms are probably infected." And they kick him out of the car. And they're like chanting like, "Leave, leave, leave." So they all leave.
I've never hated a group of people more in a movie in quite some time. Like every one of those people that made those people leave, I'm like, "You gutless coward pieces of shit." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because they know they're not infected. I think they were too ashamed of what they did.
I agree.
To just look them in the face. So they're like, "Go sit in the other train, assholes. It is us who are the assholes, but we can't look at you." That's what I got from it.
Yeah.
That actually is really astute because that's, that's the way it felt. I mean, I didn't actually have words for it until you said that. They are. It almost feels like it's easier not to have to deal with what we just did than to, admit the mistake and move on. But yeah, no, they totally send them to the annex car, which is the car in front.
They're such dicks. Not only did they kick him out, what he has them do is tie the door closed again so that they couldn't open, because I think this comes into play what's about to happen and why they couldn't escape. They tie the door shut yet again so that people can't enter or leave the car.
And this is where post-pandemic brain Mark has to go into play and say, no, this probably might happen this way, because I feel like we're having a failure of logic. Mm-hmm. No one's thinking clearly, and maybe it's the shame of what they did, getting old gal and Korean Harada killed, that they don't want to think about it smartly. But now the zombies are that much closer to your train car, and you're putting the people you think are quote unquote infected further from the zombie horde. You know what I mean? And tying that door shut. What if something happens, like what's about to happen, and they overrun your car? Now you've tied yourself up to the zombies and you're fucked.
Why don't you move to the annex car and leave them closer to the zombies?
Right. Exactly right. So this movie starts to break down a little bit for me, but I got to tell myself, no, I've seen us in 2020. I think this could actually play out exactly like this.
So the old lady whose sister got infected is sitting there going like, yeah, you know what? This is kind of shitty. We did kill these people. You always tried to help everyone else. You never helped yourself. And that's why you're in this situation. You're infected and a zombie. And I can't believe you. And then she like reflects on what they just did. And they're like, I guess we're no better because we didn't help these people. And then she's like, all right, fuck it. She goes and opens the door to where the zombies are because she's like, well, we deserve this. They should all be destroyed. And the business guy, the shitty business guy is like, someone stop that woman. And she opens it up, and then the people safe in the annex car are hearing everyone get eaten alive inside the previous car, which has been tied shut. But just to foreshadow, the shitty businessman locks himself in a bathroom with one of the attendants. So they are hiding out in there.
That was such a tease. I was like, yeah, fuck you, dude. I'm glad that you're a little zombie bastard now. And then like 5 minutes later, we find out that he survived. I was like, fuck. So I respect the movie though for doing that to me, playing with my emotions like that.
There was still 38 minutes left in this movie at this point too. I was just like, I checked the time and I was like, "Ooh boy."
Yeah. What's about to happen, like this whole fourth act, honestly, I think is the weakest part of the movie. And I think it's because this movie's a little too long.
Well, I'd like to just kind of linger a little bit on the final act of the elderly woman opening the door to let the zombies in. Were you guys able to reconcile that action? Like, did you feel that you accepted her reasoning for it? Or like, it almost didn't make sense to me. Like, yes, your sister's dead. Is this something you're doing in the moment of grief? Or is this like really like you being the judge, an executioner more so for every other person in this train car?
It's totally both, because she, in her dialogue, you know, she talks to the sister about like being like, you're the one that always stop and help people. You're the one that like, you know, was always like willing to extend a helping hand like that. And now you're dead because of it. And then I think because of that exact realization of like having to admit like you were doomed due to your niceness. And then that just rolls right into her reflection of, we didn't do shit. We actively worked against helping people. We're fucking trash. We're no better than the zombies. And I think she's like, all right, I guess that's where we belong. And she just makes that call for everyone. I believed it. I thought granted, it's a dumb decision, but I definitely see how her character made that connection real fast.
Yeah, and I didn't necessarily pick up everything that Garrett's saying, but now I kind of like get it. But you know, I also thought like she saw her zombie sister, she saw her face, and that's like kind of lured her. And I just thought it was like, all right, there's these two people who have been together like their whole lives. I think she was just like, I don't know that I can go on without her. Like I think there's a lot of conflicting things in this person's mind, and she just snapped. She snapped with everything that was happening and was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go do this thing. So, I mean, was it a logical decision? No, but I think I could buy that it was an emotional decision.
Okay.
We deserve to be where you are because, you know, our shitty behavior was the cause of this. And how much more of just than her, of the sister, are we the cause of?
Yes.
So, I mean, it made perfect sense. And it was a really, really well done moment because like her little monologue she says when she does it, mwah, it's so impactful.
So our annexed folk now persists of who's left. We've got Soo Yin, we've got asshole dad, we got pregnant wife,
we've got baseball kid, we got his crush, and we got homeless guy. And the conductor. We haven't talked about it, but the train conductor is also a character. Basically what he's been doing is getting the train to Busan. So, but he's also technically alive, and he comes into play right now because they hit a train roadblock, a train block, a rail block. They can't go any further. Everything's all fucked up and the train can't go. So he gets on the PA and he's like, look, I'm going to find a train that works. I'm going all the way to the leftmost track. Good luck. Go there. Godspeed. And that sort of sets up the next bit of the movie.
Yeah, and we didn't touch really on too much on the conductor, but I also loved his character as well because he's the kind of guy you want in an emergency situation. Like, he doesn't falter, he doesn't move away, he's doing his duty. Even his shit is hitting the fan. Like, he's like, no, I got a job to do, I got to keep these people safe, I got to keep the train moving, no matter what. And I mean, anybody else could have just fled. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to run that train. Mm-hmm. He could have turned tail and ran away and to save his own skin, but he doesn't. And ultimately, that's going to be his undoing here shortly.
Yep.
Well, no, that's not his undoing. Helping that fucking asshole businessman is his undoing. He should have just stayed on that train.
That's what I mean. But he's still being a nice guy. He's still trying to protect and, you know, kind of shepherd these people. So he sees somebody in need. Turns out it's the wrong guy. That you don't want to help this dude, and it backfires. But let's talk about the scene. In John, you said this was the weakest part of the movie. What is it about this scene that makes it weak for you? Because this is some pretty action heavy stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe it's just because I don't know if this movie needed to be as long as it was. So like by this point, I'm just like, really? Now another fucking train is going to hit this train and they're going to get trapped. And it's just like, if they could have cut, I think, a lot of this and just jumped right to like the very end, and the emotional impact would have been essentially the same. To your point, this is just all action fluff for the most part. There's not a ton of character development. We see the COO be even more of a dick. But it's like, all right, we already hated this guy. I don't know that I could hate him any more than I already do. I don't know. I just think that if they'd cut all of it out, I don't know that I would have really missed it. And it would have made the movie a nice, tight 90 minutes, which is my jam.
Yeah, I think the scene is a little redundant in the fact that they could have edited it out and we wouldn't have really lost too much from the film, other than the fact that we see, a couple more instances of people being selfless and either paying the price for that or being heroic with it. My problem is they get separated into two different groups. Like the businessman's by himself. So he goes and kind of, I don't want to say sabotages, but ends up fucking over the conductor who's already got the new train moving. The other group is trapped under some other train cars. And at this point, the homeless guy is going to basically hold the door.
Hold on.
So the rest of the people can escape.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, nice. And so everyone else escapes while he kind of sacrifices himself. So we lose another character.
We also lose the COO in his flight of murder also kills the baseball kid and his crush.
Yes. Like
the most dickish way possible. So they're trying to open a door. He jumps onto the train and he fucking throws that chick to a zombie.
Yeah.
Just throws her. He's like, get the fuck out of my way.
Yeah. You guys missed one. He did that to get out of the bathroom. He sacrificed a attendant guy.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, go get out there. Go quick, and threw him out there and he gets eaten so the businessman can get away. So that's the second time he's thrown a person into the zombie horde.
What a dick.
I hope you guys wouldn't judge me, but if I saw someone like that in our group, I would be like, all right, hands up. I'm going to fuck this guy over, right?
Yeah.
I would straight up be like, this is a long-term detriment. And I hope you guys don't judge me, but I'm tripping his ass straight up.
Yeah, he definitely should have been a zombie much sooner. The homeless man dies, the baseball kid dies, his crush dies, the attendant dies, and the conductor dies. So we find ourselves with the bad dad, Seouuuuul, the pregnant wife, and the COO on the last train.
If I can, and I'm sorry, I don't want to backtrack this train too much, but I feel that we do need to touch on the scene where the two trains are starting to collapse in on each other, and we've got the homeless man, pregnant wife, Seouuuuul, and the dad trapped between the two trains. Because this is another moment where our dad is his character growth comes into play, where he starts saving everybody, right? He's trying to get them out of there, and he gets out from under the train, and then the windows explode from the two trains and just zombies are dropping out. But he stops and has to wrench that like a giant piece of debris out of the way to pull them out from under the wreckage just in time. But the homeless man has to sacrifice himself from all the oncoming hordes, and he gets taken out.
That character was there only to basically emphasize and really show us the dad's growth from the beginning when he first is like, fuck him, we're not going to tell him, and to this point where he's like, yeah, we'll help people out. That character was really just a tool to kind of illustrate the dad's character arc, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's probably true, and maybe that's why they didn't need to flesh him out. We already had enough characters already. So his death wasn't as impactful as it could have been, or the movie would have been 3 hours long because we had to flesh out everybody. They all get on a train, so we're down to our last group of people. This is where the businessman had snuck aboard the train car before our last surviving members, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, it's just a train engine. There's actually not a whole train connected to it. It's just an engine that the conductor was like, oh, we'll take this and use this as a bullet to our destination. So
we're so close to the end here. And now this part, I think the movie picks up again. So I do like the ending. It's just the part in between that I was like, I could, take it or leave it. So the businessman is sitting in the train car. The bad dad opens the door and we see that he ultimately had been bitten and now he's starting to turn. And he does not pick this as a time to be noble. So instead he just starts crying about how he wants to go home and be with his mom. And we're all just supposed to feel real sorry because this guy who's been just a sociopathic murderer suddenly has a conscience and feels sad that he's dying. And then he turns. And now the dad is fighting the zombie businessman. He's trying to keep himself in between the pregnant wife and Seouuuuul.
And this scene right here is a real reflection of, capitalism versus the ego of man, the battle of, corporate America versus the greater good of helping your fellow man. It was really subtle, and I thought it was really well played, but it's all there on the screen. So, I appreciated them taking a real stab at capitalism and, just the utter failure of mankind when it comes to, the self over the greater good. Oh, I might be reading too much into this.
No, I dig it, man. It's like an onion.
No, I think you're pretty close, Garrett. I think there's a lot of class warfare messages in this movie as well. But there's also the moment where the businessman is turning zombie and he's turning into a blubbering child. I think that really is trying to tell us, look, these selfish assholes who only think about themselves at the end of the day are just children. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of what the movie was trying to portray, this whole character. He's selfish, he's getting other people killed, but he's really just a child inside. Something like that.
I'd be like, you know what? It sucks, but if it's just how it is, if he was only passively getting people killed, but he is active, he's a murderer. This man murders people. So I felt zero pity for him when he was all, I want my mother. Well, sucks to be you, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they, then it's a couple of minutes of a fight. I'm not going to go blow by blow through the fight, but ultimately, bad dad gets bitten.
I thought you should have gone blow by blow.
Well, I couldn't even.
Bad dad throws a left. Bad dad throws a right. And it's against the ropes. He's against the railing. And here comes CEO out of the corner. He's got an uppercut. He's got a left. He's got a right. And he's down.
And there's the bell.
The CEO gets thrown off the train to his death. Goodbye. Good riddance to bad rubbish. And now the dad's bit. And he's trying to wrap up some shit, right? So he takes the wife in, the pregnant wife, and is like, all right, here's the brake, here's the gas. You just keep going until you can't go anymore, and then hit the brake. And then he goes to his daughter, and he's like, look, I'm sorry. This sucks. I love you, but I gotta go. And she's like, don't go. And I don't know. I know, Garrett, you weren't into this scene, but I was.
One more act of fatherly abandonment where he just breaks his child's heart. I'm just saying it never ends with this guy.
Thought it was so sad. And I thought the actress who played Seouuuuul did such a good job.
I'm giving it shit. It is one of the saddest moments of the movie because she's seen the change. He realizes now what he has in his daughter. And then the dialogue between them where she talks about how she learned the song just for him and the fact that he wasn't there at the recital. It is gut-wrenching. It's a great scene. It's just one of those scenes where, again, at this point, I still did not give a fuck about this dad because I was like, to your last breath, you have done nothing but disappoint your daughter.
I think he's had a great character arc. One of my number one complaints in movies is characters don't change. I think this character grew and changed and you could see it. And was it a little ham-fisted? Sure. But I bought it. I was like, oh, I can't believe he's got to go. Then he goes to the back of the train and he's turning now and he's trying to fight it. And he's having memories of his kid's birth. And so he's smiling as he's becoming a zombie.
Yep.
And then it sort of switches into a shadow view. So you just see the shadow of the train and him, and then you just see a shadow kind of fall off the back of the train.
Runaway train, never going back. Wrong way on a one-way track.
As Jack Nicholson Joker would say, if you gotta go, go with a smile. And he does.
That is great. And he does, yeah.
And this was the best remake of Throw Mama from the Train we've ever seen.
Definitely. Now, which one was Danny DeVito?
The little girl.
Right.
This movie has some amazing cinematography. That shot where it is the gravel, the fast speed gravel as the train's moving, and then his shadow on the back of the engine. And as he falls off, you just see the shadow on the ground of him doing that. That was so moving. This movie has some great cinematography, but that scene definitely, to not actually see him fall and more just kind of this shadow of him, what's left of him, really lifted that scene to a whole other level of wow. So at that point, I guess the pregnant mom hits the brake and then they're walking down the track with the daughter and her, and she's pregnant. So let's point out that she's walking a little bit pregnant-y, which is almost a little zombie-y.
I thought she was going to give birth. Like near the end, I thought I was like, oh, is this going to be like a labor scene now? Is that what this movie's throwing at me?
Oh, God.
Thankfully it doesn't, because that would have been too much. But
If that little girl had to give birth that baby and she's like, what am I supposed to do with this? Or even worse, if like she gave birth and the COO was there and he chunked that baby off the fucking train. Woo. That would have gotten dark real fast.
These were all rough drafts before we got the final cut of the film. So as they're walking down, they reach a tunnel, and there's a bunch of wreckage and stuff, so they got to go on foot, as Garrett said. And at the other end of the tunnel is a barricade with what appears to be some military people. There's a sniper with a scope and a man with binoculars, and they see the silhouette of Sun Yin and the pregnant wife coming down. And like Garrett said, she's kind of limping a little bit, walking a little too pregnant-y for our soldiers here. And they're like, they radio into the base, and they're like, hey, someone's coming down the tunnel. They're like, look for signs of infection. And it's too dark in the tunnel. He's like, I can't make visual contact. What should we do? And the guy on the radio is like, kill him. And he's like, oh, shit, is this really how the movie's going to wrap up? No survivors? And for, what we've seen so far, I wasn't putting it past the movie. I was like, they're going to do it.
Me too.
They're going to shoot a pregnant woman and they're going to shoot a kid. And that's how this is going to wrap up. And this is why everybody's been talking this movie up like, holy shit, you got to see Baby Murderer Train to Busan movie. It's crazy.
Well, they do a POV shot of the sniper scope like lining up on the mom's head. And I was like, if they blow this chick's brains out, this fucking kid is never going to be okay.
Well, she's not going to be okay to begin with, but you're right. This is just to add to her months of therapy to come. So as they're walking down the tunnel, the soldiers hear Sun Yin singing the song that she learned to sing at the recital at school that she couldn't complete. And I thought it was a very touching moment that she does actually complete the song. And I was kind of seeing it as like, this is her singing it for her father after his passing, is in memorial or in memoriam or whatever the correct term is for the dad in his passing. And it stops the soldiers. They're like, well, zombies wouldn't be singing. And it ultimately saves them both. And that's where the movie wraps.
Yeah, well, they're like the survivors. And then, they fade to black. Bang on, grade A movie. This was really well done.
Yeah, I gotta say I can't recommend it enough. I think we are all gonna put this on a list of like must watches, and I think this is even a good movie outside of people who don't like horror movies. My wife sat and watched it with me the whole time. She's like, "Wow, that was a pretty outstanding zombie movie." She doesn't watch a lot of this stuff with me, but she was able to follow along, and yeah, it's just a really well written, directed, and executed film all around.
Yeah, not too much gore either. If you're squeamish of gore, there's not a whole lot of it. There's a few moments that are kind of like, whoa.
Yeah, it's mostly implied gore.
I used to dance under that name as a stripper.
And up to the stage, implied gore. Well, that's 3 recommendations for us. John, you think the prequel animated one is worth a watch?
Yeah, it's not nearly as good, but it is enjoyable. It's on Shudder, so if you have Shudder, it's free. And it just follows a different group of people. Like essentially, I think the night before, I think the only crossover character is the homeless guy, but it only like in passing. He's not like he plays a major role or anything.
That sucks. That seems like a great little like segue into like putting him into the main movie of like, oh, this guy saw it all go down.
Well, sorry to disappoint, but it was an enjoyable watch, I would say.
And I don't think anybody's watched the sequel, Train to Busan Peninsula, I believe it's called. I haven't heard good things. In fact, listener Chris messaged me and was like, this movie is bullshit. Don't watch it. And I was like, oh no, that sucks. I don't know how you follow this one up. Like, it's such a good movie. It's going to be hard to capture this again. And that's kind of why I'm like, US remake, what are you going to do, really? It's going to do anything better than this one. So I did catch like a 10 to 15 minute chunk. It was airing on Shudder. When you go to Shudder and they're just running something, like it's the channel Shudder. They were showing Train to Busan 2, and the only scene I got was they captured this man, took his shirt off, and spray painted a number on his chest and back, and forced him to go into an arena with 40 other people, and they were fighting zombies, and they were going to see who could survive for 120 seconds, and they were placing bets on it. And that's the only scene I saw. So I think we're going to get something along the lines of let's see how far society falls in the wake of the apocalypse kind of shit. And I don't know if I like that all that much, but I may sit down and watch it anyway just to get a grasp on it for myself.
Are you not detained? Oh my God, I would love if it was Sun Yu and it was a whole gladiator thing. It's like, I am Sun Yu, daughter of a murdered father. You know? Oh man.
All right. Well, any other final thoughts on Train to Busan?
I just think it's great that we're still getting good zombie movies. I know that some people have like just written that genre off, but I still think there's stuff there. And even I haven't seen Army of the Dead yet. I will probably watch it. I'm not a massive Zack Snyder fan, but he does an okay film every now and then. I like fresh takes on it, so I'm interested to see what they do with like an Ocean 11 style zombie movie. But it doesn't sound like it has the Mark recommendation, but I'm just glad that they're still making zombie films.
Yeah, let me know what you think. It was a movie that it was. I didn't turn it off, but it is also 2.5 hours long, Garrett. So prepare yourself.
Unless you have hobbits, it should not be 2.5 hours. Jesus.
Yep, that should be a shirt. So listeners, if you have any other movie recommendations or any cold open ideas, let us know. We've got a Twitter, a Facebook, and an Instagram. You can find everything we're up to at thegravetalk.com, and we'll be back next time. See you then.